don't worry. Accept that worrying is futile. Whatever situation you're facing, worrying won't and can't help. Either do something about it or have the strength to let it go. Hi, Mothership. It's Ruth Wilkinson from the Consult Centre, and it's Wellbeing Wednesday. It's our last one, I think, before Christmas. And what an interesting Christmas it's going to be this year. So why was I on today? So I was going to talk to you about, part of wellbeing, but about confidence. And as part of that confidence, I thought I would spend a bit of time talking about negative self-talk, how we can improve our confidence, our real inner confidence, by trying to eradicate that negative self-talk. So I don't know whether you'll have experienced this. Certainly I've experienced it. I think I probably experience it daily, to be honest, if I'm being perfectly frank. What is that negative self-talk? And why does it lead us to worry and to have lack of confidence? Because ultimately, it's the conversations that you're having with yourself. And sometimes it's an excuse for worry. Sometimes it's something else to worry about other than the real thing that's bothering us. Have we offended people? Did we not do that right? Have we made a mistake? Is that good? Is that bad? Is that different? And it's somewhere where we kind of go where we can get stuck in that place, and it can be quite overwhelming, or sometimes it catches us just off guard and makes us feel sad. And if it's done over a period of time, it can really chip at our self-confidence. So it could be simple things like, oof, you're looking tired today, or you catch yourself in the mirror and think, oh, put a bit of lockdown weight on there. It could be somebody else has responded to you in a negative way, and you take that on board and think it's you. And as is always the case with me, I'm going to try not to swear, but I invariably will. And the reason I kind of wanted to think about this is because I was speaking to a client only this week, and she was really having difficulty with her confidence and being confident, and about how that was impacting her day and getting in her way, and it was intrusive in her thoughts, and she was bothered about who she upset, who she hadn't. Had she done a good job? Had she not done a good job? Had she been the best person she could be? And it kind of got to a place for her where she was stuck in it and couldn't really stop that cycle. And some of the advice that I gave her is probably some of what I'm going to talk to you about now. And negative talk is something that we do. And some of us experience it all the time, and some of us experience it a little bit at a time. And some of us are really fortunate and don't experience it very often at all. But one of the problems with that is that if it's being felt a lot, and it becomes something that you do quite often, it becomes a habit. And as we all know, habits are really difficult to break. So sometimes part of the way in which we can help ourselves to feel more confident and feel better is to just do small changes, little changes, a little bit at a time. And one of those changes can be to interrupt that thought. So when it starts, it's about interrupting it. And the other thing can be not taking on everybody else's shit. Excuse my language. But you'll know those opportunities. You'll be able to recognize them when you think about it, where you've said something and someone's reacted badly, or you've inadvertently done something and that person's reacted very badly, and we worry and it damages our confidence. But if we stop to think about whether or not that was really about something that we did, or was it a reflection of where that person's at? So is it about owning our own stuff? Absolutely. But is it also about not owning anybody else's, and kind of thinking about it as a ball of their unhappiness and their anger and their, frustration or whatever it is. And you can keep hold of that ball if you want, and you can keep hold of it for a long time. Then you can take on somebody else's, and you can take on somebody else's after that. But after a while, you're either left with a weight that you can't carry, or a whole lot of things you can't juggle anymore. And it's tiring and it's exhausting. But if we gave ourselves a minute in that moment when it happens to stop and think, is that about me? Is your reaction actually about me there? Or is that more about you and where you're at? and if you will, figuratively speaking, hand them their ball of bullshit back and let them carry it and let them get weighed down with it, but not you. So you're not taking on somebody else's. So that idea, first of all, there's two things. One is talking to yourself in a negative way, and I'll come back to that in a second, but also not taking on somebody else's reaction as something that you've caused. Because we might not be in control all the time of what happens to us, but we're definitely in control a lot of the time, not all the time, in how we react to it. And sometimes the best reaction is to either leave it on the floor where it landed or give it them back in your head. You don't have to say anything, but give them that bullshit back and alleviate yourself of taking on somebody else's worry. Somebody else is taking something out on you. The best way and the best thing that you can do for yourself is hand it them back. So that's one move maybe. So get the old bullshit ball, make it into a nice round ball, or their angry ball, or their frustrated ball, or their got out of wrong side of the bed this morning ball, and let them walk around with it. But after a while, if you keep holding on to their stuff, it will weigh you down. And then the other part around the fact that we do talk to ourselves negatively sometimes. We do almost berate ourselves and tell ourselves off. We do write long lists of things we can't possibly have a hope in hell of getting around to doing. All those things eventually chip at our confidence. We either try too hard to achieve too much, and in turn we achieve nothing and feel really bad, and it damages our confidence. So one of the things I thought, and I've written some little kind of starters for 10, but for those of you that might already do a bit of journaling, and for those of you that are like raising your eyebrows at that idea, you could journal in your head, or you can journal in a book, or you can journal going for a nice long walk and talk to yourself differently. And some of the things that you could maybe start your day off with is some questions for yourself or some reminders to yourself. So some of these little things that I've written down here is, to make sure I'm kind to myself today, I will. Think about that when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, maybe. And so to make sure I'm kind to myself today, I will. Give yourself 2 or 3 things that you're going to promise to do for yourself that day. Or I am proud of the person I am today because. Repeat that little mantra whilst you're having a good wander down the seafront or down a country lane or whatever it might be that you get a chance to do today. Then there's other things like today I am thankful for. I am proud of myself today because. These are all little things that you could do that I write down. I start my days with things like this sometimes. Today I will remind myself that I am not responsible for the actions of others because. It's a really, really good one. You feel a bit lighter. Get rid of everybody else's crap. Give it back to them. Let them carry it around with them. When I begin to worry today, I will remember these 3 good things. Bit of a mantra. It interrupts the negative thought pattern. It stops it as it starts. So it's an idea of just realizing it as it's happening, worrying about why am I feeling fed up, or why do I feel like I'm not good enough? And you stop and think, why do I feel like that? Well, I can change that pattern, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about all the good things about myself. I'm going to remind myself. I'm going to remind myself why I am a great friend and a great companion to lots of people. Today, I'm going to remember that when I begin to worry, these 3 things about myself that I'm really, really proud of. The positive things about myself I'm going to remind myself of today are, the positive things in my life today are, the 5 things that I'm really, really good at, no matter what. I'm going to concentrate on those things today. And then the one that if you want to do this, and it can be a bit emotional, it can be a bit upsetting sometimes, but in a good way, because it alleviates you of some stuff. Someone in your life's really let you down, or trampled all over you, or damaged your confidence. You can sit and you can write a letter to them telling them why you forgive them for that. You never post it, you never give it them. Some people write that letter. I forgive you because it was a time in your life when you weren't doing too well. I forgive you because you weren't yourself that day, or I forgive that you let me down because you were struggling to be the friend that you really needed to be at that moment in time. And you write that and you get it off your chest and you write everything that you want to write and you have your say, because it doesn't really matter what the other person thinks. It matters what you think and how you resolve that situation in your own mind. And that can increase your confidence. It can increase your happiness, definitely. And you might put that in an envelope. You might then decide to stick a lighter underneath it and burn it. You might chuck it on the fire if you're lucky enough to have a nice big roasting fire. Or you might put it through the shredder. Weirdly, each of those actions is quite cathartic, so any of those will do. I wouldn't necessarily suggest you give it to the person. It's for you. It's only for you, for you to resolve some parts of you. But then how about if you had the opportunity to go back and chat to you as a young lady or as a young woman or as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, and you sat down with them and you told them of all the things they really don't need to worry about, all the things that they're going to end up achieving in their life, all the things that 6-year-old you is going to go on to achieve and do brilliantly in every aspect. Everything that 13-year-old you might be worrying about, but actually it all works out fine in the end because you had all these skills and this resilience and this confidence and this emotional stability that helped you overcome those things. If you could go back and give that gift, what would you go and tell them? You wouldn't tell them that they've got a fat arse when they looked in the mirror, and you wouldn't tell them that they put a bit of lockdown weight on. You'd tell them how beautiful the skin was, how pretty they were, what a good person they were, and how intelligent they were, and what a good and wonderful human being they were going to end up being when they were a grown woman. How about having a bit of time for yourself, and whether it's journaling and answering some of those questions, whether it's giving somebody else their bullshit back, or whether it's writing to 6-year-old you, they all help to increase your confidence. They really, really do. And then I might just read you a little bit. Find one in the book. Everyone asks me what this book is, by the way. Everyday Confidence. I've accepted fear as part of life, specifically the fear of change. I have gone ahead despite the pounding in the heart that says, turn back. I have strength. How about that? Don't worry. Accept that worrying is futile. Whatever situation you're facing, worrying won't and can't help. Either do something about it or have the strength to let it go. Wish I'd picked that one first. Don't worry. Accept that worrying is futile. Whatever situation you're facing, worrying won't help and can't help. Either do something about it, write the letter, have a conversation with yourself, give them the bullshit back, or have the strength just to let it go. Write the letter, chuck it in the fire. That's it, really. I hope that I did a little bit to boost a little bit of happiness in somebody today. Enjoy the rest of your Wellbeing Wednesday and a very, very, very Merry Christmas and have a fab New Year. Bye for now.